Well, with complex fractions, we have a rational number over another rational number, a fraction over another fraction. And you remember when we did that, when it's written vertically, we would multiply by the reciprocal of the denominator. And if we did it to the bottom, we have to do it to the tops because we can't change this, right? 7/6 over 7/6 is 1. We're just multiplying by a red 1 here. And the reason we do that is because on the bottom we get 42 over 42, right? So this just ends up being a 1 on the bottom. That's why we do that. It's like 3 over 1 is just 3, so we're forcing that 1 on the bottom. So then we're left with negative 2/5, the numerator, and then this is changed to multiplication. Keep change flip. Some people do it that way, right? Negative 2/5 times 7/6. And so we end up with negative 2 times 7, 5 times 2 times 3. The 2's cancel. So we just have negative 7 over 5 times 3, 15. So negative 7 over 15. Let's do it with variables. X divided by y squared divided by x squared over y. Again, multiply by the reciprocal, top and bottom. And so we have xy in the numerator and y squared x squared, or x squared y squared on the bottom. Well, x over x squared leaves us with a x on the bottom. Y over y squared leaves us with a y on the bottom. So we'll just have 1 over xy. Similarly here, let's multiply by the reciprocal. So times y squared over 3xy to the fourth, y squared over 3xy to the fourth. So we have 9x to the fourth, y to the third over 13x times. And so this becomes, I have a 9x to the fourth, I have 5 y's on the top. On the bottom I have a 3 and a 13, and x and x squared, y to the fourth. Now let's see what cancels. 9 over 3 gives us 3. X to the fourth over x squared leaves us with x squared. So we have x squared, and then y to the fifth over y to the fourth leaves us with 1y on the top. So let me write that a little neater. 3x squared y over 13. I want you guys to try that one and punch in your answer for this one right here. All right, make sure you got that work there for that one. Let's go ahead and keep going here. Now we've got some variables. We have x plus 10 over 3 divided by x minus 2 over x. So once again, we'll multiply. We have a fraction over a fraction. And so we're ending up with x plus 10 over 3 times x over x minus 2. Now notice nothing cancels. I have an x plus 10, I have a 3, I have an x minus 2, but nothing cancels. So I just go ahead and stop right there on that one. Now the problem with this one right here, we got a half minus a third. I have a plus minus in between here. I got to get it one fraction over one fraction. So what I'm going to do first is with the 1/2, let me get the common denominator of 6. So I have 3/6, there's 1/2, minus 2/6. And on the bottom, I'm also going to get a common denominator. So I have 15/18 minus 1/18. And so what we have is 3/6 minus 2/6. I got 1/6. Now I got one fraction on the top. 15/18 minus 1/18, 15 minus 1, I got 14/18. So I have 1/6 over, and I'm going to go ahead and reduce 14/18, both going to 2, so that's 7 over 9. And so now I have a complex fraction, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply by the reciprocal, 9 over 7. And so we have 1/6 times 9 over 7. Well, 9 over 6, both those going to 3. So multiply 1 times 3, 3, 2 times 7, I got 14. So this just ends up being 3/14 on this one. Let's let's go ahead and get a common denominator, and why don't you guys try that one real quick. Perfect. 25 over 14. And we're going to do a few of these. So this one here, we got to get a common denominator. I'm going to give this a 6. I'm going to give this an x. So the numerator becomes x over 6x plus 6 over 6x. The denominator here is 7x would be the common denominator. So I'd have x over 7x minus 7 over 7x. So it looks like now we have one fraction over one fraction. So I have x plus 6 all over 6x. Denominator, I have x minus 7 all over 7x. So now I have one fraction over one fraction. I can multiply by the reciprocal. And so we end up with x plus 6 times 7x, 6x times x minus 7. It looks like nothing cancels, so I'm just going to go ahead and write that as my monomial term first. So we got 7x, x plus 6, 6x, x minus 7. It looks like, oh, I'm sorry. Good grief. I got to cancel my x's there. My apologies. Right there. Almost did not catch that. There we go. Alright, similarly for this one, this is 11 over 1 plus 1 over x. This is 8 over 1 minus 1 over x. So I got to give this an x and an x. Give this an x and an x. And it looks like I have 11x plus 1 all over x. Denominator is 8x minus 1 all over x. Now I have one fraction over one fraction, so I can multiply by the reciprocal. And we have x times 11x plus 1 over x times 8x minus 1. And don't miss that you can cancel those x's. And so it looks like we have 11x plus 1 over 8x minus 1. Why don't you guys try this one similarly? Get a common denominator, work that through right there. Alright, check your work on that one, and let's move on to some more. You pause this if you need to. Let's move on here. We've got 4 plus x, 4 over x plus x over 1. The bottom I have it already, this is already a fraction, x squared plus 4 all over 10. Let's get this into one common denominator in the numerator. So I have 4 plus x squared all over x. On the bottom I have x squared plus 4 all over 10. So now we can multiply by the reciprocal. So we have 4 plus x squared. I'm going to write that as x squared plus 4 times the 10. And then x and x squared plus 4. And notice these x squared plus 4's cancel. And all we're left with is the 10 over x on that one. You guys go ahead and try that next one there. Check your work on that one. The tricky part is you got to take a negative out of that to make sure that it matches the x squared minus 13 to cancel those. So kind of a tricky problem there. Let's move on. This one, they both have a y. 11 over y squared, they both have a y. I got to give this one more y. And then now it's 4y squared, so I got to give that a 4. So it looks like the numerator here is 44 minus y all over 4y squared. Now let's do the denominator. They both have a y. The right-hand side has a 3y, so I got to give this a 3. So it looks like I'll have 9 plus 11 all over 3y. So it looks like we have 44 minus y over 4y squared all over 9 plus 11 is 20 over 3y. And we'll multiply by the reciprocal. So we've got 3y, 44 minus y all over 4y squared times 20, or I should have wrote that as 80y squared. 80y squared. So one of those y's will cancel, and leaves us with a y left over down there. So we got 3 times 44 minus y all over 80y. Let's go ahead and do this one together. It's got 225. Let's give it a y squared. Give it a 225. So the top becomes y squared minus 225 all over 225 y squared. At the bottom, I'm going to have to give this a 15. I'm going to have to give this a y. So it looks like I have y plus 15 all over 15y. So now that we can multiply by the reciprocal. Y squared minus 225 all over 225 y squared is going to be multiplied by the reciprocal 15y over y plus 15. Okay. Now this y squared minus 225, that's actually a difference of squares. It's y minus 15, y plus 15, because 15 times 15 is 225. And then you got the 15y. So we got 225y squared and the y plus 15. So notice the y plus 15's cancel. And then 15 and 225, that'll give you a 1/15. Y squared, y over y squared leaves you with 1y there. So this ends up being y minus 15 times 1 on the top over 15y. Now we've got a binomial for a common denominator. So I have 9 over x plus 9 minus 1, or 1 over 1. This one's 9 over x plus 9 plus 1, or 1 over 1. So I got to give this an x plus 9, x plus 9. Same thing down here. X plus 9 is going to be my common denominator. So this just ends up being 9 minus 1 times x plus 9 all over x plus 9. The denominator is 9 plus x plus 9 all over x plus 9. Well, if we distribute that, we'll have 9 minus x minus 9, so it's just a negative x. And if we distribute that, I'll have 9 plus x plus 9, which is x plus 18 over x plus 9. And so now we can multiply. Now we have one fraction over one fraction. So we can multiply this. Notice the x plus 9's cancel. So we have negative x over x plus 18. Alright, same thing on this one. I got to give this an x plus 2, x plus 2. This one I got to give an x plus 2, x plus 2. So it looks like we'll have 14 plus 2, x plus 2. That's all over x plus 2. The denominator I'll have 20 minus 2, x plus 2. That's all over x plus 2. I'm going to go ahead and distribute that. So that'll be 14 plus 2x plus 4. So that'll be 2x plus 14 plus 4 is 18 over x plus 2. Denominator, I'll have 20 minus 2x minus 4. So that's a negative 2x. 20 minus 4 is a 16 all over x plus 2. Now we'll multiply by the reciprocal. And I should factor this 2x plus 18. And then we're being multiplied by x plus 2. And I'm going to factor negative 2 out of that x plus 16. So I have x minus 8 there. And notice my x plus 2's cancel. So I'm left with 2x plus 9. On the bottom I got a negative 2x minus 8. 2 over negative 2 is a negative 1. So I'm going to take that negative 1 up top. And I really should distribute that, negative x minus 9 over x minus 8. Go ahead and try this one. Go ahead and check your work and pause it if you need to there. Let's finish out these last two together. X to the negative 5, that means 1 over x to the 5th. Y to the negative 3rd, that's 1 over y to the 3rd. It's divided by x to the negative 4, that's 1 over x to the 4th. Y to the negative 2 is 1 over y squared. So let's get some common denominators. I'm going to give this a y to the 3rd, give this an x to the 5th. Down here, it looks like I could give this x to the 4th and a y squared. So we have y to the 3rd plus x to the 5th. This is all over x to the 5th, y to the 3rd common denominator. The denominator I have y squared plus x to the 4th all over x to the 4th y squared. So this is x to the 5th plus y to the 3rd. I'm going to write the x's first over x to the 5th, y to the 3rd. X to the 5th plus y to the 3rd over x to the 5th, y to the 3rd over x to the 4th plus y squared over x to the 4th y squared. Now, I have one fraction over one fraction, so I can go ahead and multiply by the reciprocal, x to the 4th y squared over x to the 4th plus y squared. All right? So x to the 4th y squared over x to the 4th plus y squared. So that's what I'm doing now. Times so we have, I'm going to write x to the 4th y squared, then we have this x to the 5th plus y to the 3rd. Denominator, I have this x to the 5th, y to the 3rd, x to the 4th plus y squared. And so what's going to happen here is I'll leave me with one x down there. I'll leave me with one y down there. So I've got x to the 5th plus y to the 3rd over xy, x to the 4th plus y squared. Okay? And if you want, you could multiply that through, and you'd have x to the, on the denominator, you'd have x to the 5th y plus xy to the 3rd if you wanted to, right? But that's also the same thing. All right, let's go ahead and do this last one together. So x to the negative 4, I got 1 over x to the 4th, 1 over y to the 5th, I got 1 over x to the 3rd, 1 over y to the 4th. Let's get a common denominator over here. So y to the 5th, y to the 5th, x to the 4th, x to the 4th. Let's get a common denominator down below here. Y to the 4th, y to the 4th, x to the 3rd, x to the 3rd. So it looks like we have y to the 5th plus x to the 4th. This is all over x to the 4th, y to the 5th. Denominator, I got y to the 4th plus x to the 3rd over x to the 3rd, y to the 4th. So let's multiply. So I got x to the 4th plus y to the 5th over x to the 4th, y to the 5th. Let's multiply by the reciprocal, x to the 3rd, y to the 4th over y to the 4th plus x to the 3rd, or x to the 3rd plus y to the 4th. If you notice, x to the 3rd over x, that leaves me with an x, y to the 4th over y to the 5th, that leaves me with a y down there. So it looks like we're all done with this. We've got x to the 4th plus y to the 5th. I have an xy on the bottom, and then I have x to the 3rd plus y to the 4th. Or if you want to distribute that, we have x to the 4th, y plus xy to the 5th. If you distributed that, either of those will work for you there. Well, thanks for taking notes. See you next time.